They stole my phone and asked for a ransom. This happened when I lived in Barcelona, a few years ago. I was at a point in my life where I wanted to enjoy my freedom after a complicated relationship ended. I met some people in the city, and we used to go out for drinks and to enjoy the nightlife of the Catalan capital. After a night of drinking, I left a nightclub in the early hours of the morning and went home alone. At about 4 or 5 in the morning, I was in a part of the city that I didn't know, but I knew there was a subway station not far from where I was. So, I opened Google Maps and used it to guide myself. I was drunk, but walking normally. As I walked with my cell phone in front of me, I came upon a closed gas station and noticed people coming in the opposite direction. I ignored them and continued walking while looking at the map. However, as soon as the group approached, in an explosion of fast bodies, they ran around and towards me, like predators after prey. One of them snatched the phone out of my hand very swiftly, like he was taking candy from a baby. I looked around and saw that there were about 10 or 12 young men, perhaps even minors, and well-dressed. The one who stole my cell phone fled at an incredible speed, followed by some of his buddies. But not everyone fled. Some of the young men stood around, as if studying me, for a few seconds. Then, in a second burst of movement, they all rushed toward me. With a mental agility that I didn't know I had, I instinctively stuck both my hands into my right front pocket. That's where I kept my wallet and keys. I had been pickpocketed before, and since then I only kept my valuables in the front pockets. I remember they held me, pulled me, pushed me, tried to throw me to the ground, but I used all my strength to not let them take my hands out of that pocket. No effing way you're going to steal from me. No effing way you're going to steal from me, I thought as I roared some incomprehensible grunt, due to the force I was using on my arms. At one point, I felt like my feet were no longer touching the ground, as they were lifting my body in an attempt to get my hands out of my pockets. It all happened very quickly, I can't say how long, but I didn't give in. Unsuccessful in their attempt, the young men left and ran to join their buddies. I stood there on the street, alone, without reaction. I was relieved for still having my wallet, but distraught for being left without my cell phone. That cell phone wasn't even mine. It belonged to a friend who had sold it to me, and I still had to pay him. I remember standing there thinking, I can't believe I'm going to have to spend another 200 or 300 euros on another cell phone. Money that, by the way, I didn't have. My budget was very tight on those days. It was then that I noticed 3 guys from that group walking calmly towards me. One of them came to me apologizing, saying they didn't do such things out of malice. He told me that they were immigrants and were forced to steal. He also said that he had spoken to his friends, and they were willing to return the cell phone if I gave them 20 euros. We are hungry, we just ask for some money to eat a kebab, the bastard said with his hand covering his stomach. I knew it was bullshit, and that they were only returning the phone because it wasn't an iPhone or another expensive device. And that talk of being hungry sounded like bullshit too. They were skinny but looked quite healthy. But in a moment of weird logic, I realized that it would be better to pay 20 euros to get my cell phone back than have to spend 200 or 300 for a new one. I handed over the 20 euro bill and the noble soul gave my cell phone back. And that was it. It took me a long time to process what had happened. I felt like a fool for paying to have my own cell phone back. And that was the feeling that ate me away for a long time. However, years later, with the sobriety of time on my side, I accepted that this was one of those situations in life where we have to choose the lesser of two evils.